Hello and welcome to the Arise interview, where we take time to reflect on the big stories from the news and on the fortunes and affairs of the world in an hour of conversation with commentators, analysts and thought leaders. I'm Charles Aniegolu. Coming up in the next 60 minutes, more than a decade and a half after the Nigerian government first unveiled an initiative to bring a network of dry ports to the country, the Nigerian Shippers Council, which has charge of developing those ports, says it is now doing so across the country. It also says that Nigeria's much underused inland waterways are gearing up for action, and everything shipping in Nigeria is being digitalized. We'll assess the veracity of all those claims with our guest today, the Executive Secretary of the Nigerian Shippers Council, in a moment. And later, the second day of the high-profile trial of Derek Chauvin. He stands before a court of law for the determination of the former police officer's guilt or innocence for the murder of George Floyd in Minnesota last year. There's intense scrutiny of every detail, and every movement in the trial is being closely followed around the world. We have analysis from our special correspondent. And later still to northern Mozambique, where the Islamic State group has claimed responsibility for capturing the town of Palma and for killing dozens of people there, including foreign workers. The assault by the militant group has caused hundreds of people to flee in an area already suffering from a refugee crisis. There's death and destruction in Cabo Delgado province, and the government seems unable to cope. So what next for Mozambique? We have assessment coming up. Now, it was in March 2006 that Nigeria's Federal Executive Council approved plans for dry ports to be developed under public-private partnerships using a build, own, operate, transfer model. 8 locations were subsequently chosen for the facilities, which will have the same functions as seaports, including the ability to process cargo and clear it through customs. The ports to be located at Ibadan in Oyo State, Aba in Abia State, Jos in Plateau State, Bichi in Bauchi State, Gombe in Gombe State, Bulunkutu in Borno State, Zawachiki in Kano State, and Funtua in Katsina State will have a combined capacity of 179,000 20-foot equivalent units. Concessionaires have also been approved for the developments, which will be operated by private consortia for 25 years. The decision to turn to dry ports was largely driven by congestion at Nigeria's main seaport, Lagos, which has long been dealing with excessive traffic congestion and high waiting times for ships outside the harbour. A lack of modernization in customs procedures in particular have led to significant waiting times, but now, according to the Nigerian Shippers Council, technology is being utilized to expedite the shipping process in Nigeria. Well, let's get past the turgid language and examine the extent of these improvements. My guest today is the Executive Secretary of the Nigerian Shippers Council, Hassan Bello, and he joins me now in the studio. Thank you very much indeed for coming in.
Thank you.
Did that all ring true to you, that rather long intro there?
Well, it is mostly.
I like that, mostly, but
Yes,
not entirely.
Guardedly also.
Right, yeah, guardedly. That's a word that we've perfected here.
Yes.
But let's start by talking about dry ports. What are they, and how crucial are they to Nigeria?
Well, I think the modern definition of a port is a place where goods are loaded or discharged, irrespective of where they are located. So the old definition of a port as a seaport is no longer tenable.
Right.
As a matter of fact, that's why we have airports. That's a port. So the dry port is a port, just like a seaport.
But then you've got to get the goods that come in by sea.
By sea or by land, border, or by airport. But the ultimate destination is a dry port.
Right.
So the dry port is a port of origin and a port of destination, which means you can consign your your cargo to the dry port.
To Kaduna, for
yes,
example,
to Kaduna.
and say
the bill of lading will take care of
so
that.
it'll come through Lagos,
Yes.
and then it'll have to go to Kaduna.
It could come through Lagos, it could come through
The
land
borders in the
Niger
north,
or somewhere else. Yes.
Right. And just to remind us of where exactly these dry ports are located in Nigeria, because I did mention some of them, but
Yes.
I mean, I don't know, you guys change every day. Who
Yes,
knows?
exactly. We had a study done by a German consortium, which allocated these ports per the throughput they could attract at that time. And so we had what we'll call legacy dry ports.
Right.
In Funtua, agricultural belt, it has always been there. Kano, industrial city. Jos, of course, also agricultural.
Mining as
exotic mining,
Right.
mining things. Isialonga in Abia State because of the throughput also.
Aba, of course.
Yes, Aba. Then Maiduguri is a distribution center, has always been up to Central African Republic and many other countries. And of course, we had the Kaduna, which came up later. So these are about 5 or 6 legacy dry ports.
Because the reason I'm asking you that question is that I'm wondering what actually informs the decision to locate these dry ports in certain areas. I mean, is it a political decision or a pragmatic business decision?
It's a scientific decision because it was born out of research, made. A port is as good as the throughput it can attract. So that's the reason the locations. They are not political. They were pragmatic, as you said, scientific and based on research.
Well, the reason I ask that is that Economic 101 tells me that you try to locate things where there's more business, where the populace and the economy are most likely to derive the greatest benefits. Is Funtua in Katsina State really a good place to locate a dry port in preference, for instance, to Onitsha, which is well known across the continent as a tried and tested, viable commercial hub?
It's very much so. I said Funtua agricultural belt, it's always been there. They had a semblance of dry port for a very long time. Cotton, remember, agricultural produce, processed, textile, and so on. It's along the corridor, a busy corridor at that time. And there's rail. Don't forget, rail is important.
Well, rail is key. It's not just important,
well,
it's
key.
absolutely
yeah,
key.
It's key. To
otherwise, you're not going to be able to get
Well, you
this.
could have it done by truck, actually. But it is fundamental you have rail.
Yeah, but the whole idea is to also reduce the problem of infrastructure decay. In other words, bad roads and all the things that happen with them, which is why it's important to develop rail so that it just moves across quite smoothly.
Quite smoothly, and rail is cheaper because the cost
absolutely.
of transportation is uppermost in our mind. Besides, rail takes large volumes of cargo.
Yeah, it does. It's almost the same as a ship.
Exactly, it's the same as a ship.
It makes
it's
more
more
sense.
reliable than the trucking.
Absolutely.
So that's why rail location, access to rail is very important in location of the dry ports.
Now, on the face of it, it all sounds jolly brilliant, doesn't it, for Nigeria? But what is the state of development of these dry ports?
Yes, it sounds good.
What state is it in?
I think there was the absence of framework to start with. Even though we had good location, but the game was changed, at the middle of the process. The government was supposed to build these ports, but all of a sudden, the idea of public-private partnership came, and these things were changed. And there was no legal
the government
framework.
doesn't have the money to build them,
there wasn't anything.
Right.
Even the concessional ICRC was not created at that time. So they were the first guinea pigs, if you like, for PPP projects. And so Shippers Council had to grope its way, to that. First, some of the concessionaires were not technically assessed, neither were they financially capable, honestly. And this led to, some stagnation. However, Shippers Council was able to navigate and bring out, with the help of ICRC, new vista so that we could do that. And I'm happy to say about 3 of them are now actively being completed. Kaduna is already doing very well, except for the rail connection now, which has been disrupted. We will have been a good, example. Then Kano, with the support of the government, is coming on. We're going to sign an agreement with the Kano. Ibadan is another very good, potential place with the Chinese foreign investors coming, $100 million project. And also Jos, very, very active. I've spoken with the owners of the Bulunkutu dry port in Maiduguri, with the state government, and I think everything will come up together. So I think this is the year of realization, actualization, of those dry ports.
Well, when you say this is the year, I mean, my question was going to be, why is it that we never hear that something in Nigeria, something that really is brilliant, has been developed? We always hear that it is being developed or is developing. It would be nice just to hear that the job is done, and as you well know, in Nigeria, the job is often never done.
Yes.
Which is why people often roll their eyes when you say that something is being developed. Is that your phone going off?
It's transportation infrastructure.
Right.
It's always evolving, because international trade will dictate what kind of infrastructure you have.
But the idea for this came up in 2006.
Yes.
The government approved it in 2006.
Yes, but I told you the problems we had. But now we have Kaduna, which is doing well for import and export. The idea is to bring shipping to the people. You need not to want to export ginger, take it all the way to
I know
Lagos.
what the idea is. The issue is not the idea. The issue is the realization of the idea.
Yes, realization, because it started maybe on not very straight vista to say this is what we are going to do. The framework was missing, and as I said, some groping in the dark. But now it is clear. It is lucid. There is clarity, and we are going.
So we don't need glasses anymore.
No, we don't need glasses. Both of us.
Stay with us, Mr. Bello. You're watching the Arise interview. Plenty more still ahead as we continue our chat with the Executive Secretary of the Nigerian Shippers Council, Hassan Bello. Stay with us. The Arise interview. I'm Charles Aniagolu. Now, you may know that port delays in Nigeria regularly incur huge additional costs for importers and exporters, as well as freight forwarders and shipping lines. A paper by the U.S. National Bureau of Economic Research found that each day goods are in transit, their worth is reduced by between 0.6% and 2%. For Nigerian firms, this translates into a significant cost. However, despite the clear rationale for rolling out inland port facilities, there's been little movement towards their realization over the last 10 years, given the poor road and rail infrastructure, which reduces the efficacy of such facilities. However, the last 12 months have seen significant movement on the launch of dry ports. In May 2015, the government gave the Kaduna Inland Facility full status as a port, conferring it with the title of Port of Origin and final destination for imports and exports. Kaduna is considered an administrative capital and a center of commerce and industry, and the addition of the new facility enables shippers from the north of the country and from Niger and Chad to clear customs and send goods as though they are sending them from one of Nigeria's seaports. The port will have the capacity, or has the capacity, to handle 29,000 containers annually and is expected to generate employment opportunities for the local community. And the Executive Secretary of the Nigerian Shippers Council, Hassan Bello, is still with me here in the studio. Thank you for staying with us. We've already talked about the dry ports quite a bit, but what I'm more interested in is the plan to move cargo, for example, from the Lagos seaports to inland ports. Like Onitsha, for example. I understand barge operators have been licensed to do that using Nigeria's inland waterways. What's the update on that?
Well, it's important for the port to be served with multimodal approach to transportation. You know, our mistake was to depend on one mode of transportation, which was the road. And you can see the result. A port should be connected with rail, for example. A key, as you said, inland waterways, pipeline, and other modes of transportation. Unfortunately, this has not been done, but it is coming up now.
You've got to start somewhere.
Yes, we got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
So it's a mother of necessity, the mother of such invention. And barge operation has come to stay. Of course, there are some things to be done, like to give it the framework for operations, regulatory issues, insurance, safety of cargo, and so many other things. But it's good that we start. And the more you have modes of, transportation, as far as the port is concerned, the more you see the congestion disappearing.
Yes.
And of course the cost.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Well, I'll talk about security in a minute, but does that mean that Nigeria's inland waterways are now being put into active commercial use? If not, when can we expect that?
There is a whole body, Nigerian Inland Waterways Authority, which is in charge of our inland waterways, navigable inland waterways. And you don't need much. These barges, 3 feet draft, and move, cargo. So for every barge you use, you are taking maybe how many trailers off the road.
Yeah,
so
I know, but what I'm saying is that what is
this has been done by that authority.
Right, so it's being done now.
Yes, it's been done. NIWA is wooing the private sector, to do that. Already cement and I think tiles have been moved to Onitsha River Port, from Lagos. So that's wonderful.
So it's already happening.
Yes, it's happening.
Okay. Well, that's what I want to determine. Yes. But what about the security? You mentioned that of those inland waterways. I mean, we've seen a lot of piracy in the Gulf of Guinea.
Yes.
And on the high seas. Are they looking at how to deal with security challenges? Is there provision for some sort of marine police, for example?
Yes, the federal government is very, very serious about security on our waterways.
Yeah, but the federal government hasn't been able to secure the roads. Yeah, but how is it going to be able to secure the waterways?
The roads and other modes. A comprehensive contract has been signed with Israeli firm to make sure that we provide security for our waterways. This is significant because it will also reduce the cost. Most of the shipping cost is attributable to lack of security in Nigerian waterways. But the moment we have this, I think we'll be okay. There's a whole lot of things to look up to.
Right.
Yeah, as far as maritime.
So you're generally positive.
I am extremely positive.
And you're not positive just because you're the executive
I'm not positive.
Secretary of the Shippers Council.
I'm trying to see how the government is trying to wean us from the oil economy. And there is no better option or alternative, I may say, than the maritime industry.
Okay, now, of course, all these things are brought together and glued together by technology.
Yes.
So let's talk about the digitalization of the shipping process.
Yes.
I understand you've been embarking on that. Tell us about it.
Technology is the illumination we want. Technology is that thing you will shine and all the rats and cockroaches will disappear. Technology is the key to efficiency of our ports. And that's what everybody is embracing now. Our ports should be contactless. Nobody needs to be at the port.
Should be or are?
It should be contactless. That is, no presence of, physical presence of human beings at the ports. And we have Nigerian Shippers Council that is embarked on this journey. And it's amazing how people have embraced technology. It takes a lot of the stakeholders. We're talking about the banks. They are already there. Nigerian customs very much in touch with technology. We are talking about the terminal operators, the shipping companies, the freight forwarders. Each one has embraced this technology one way or the other, and we're pushing them.
So if I go to the ports
Yes.
now, it's likely to be a much smoother affair.
Yes,
is that what
smoother
you're saying?
than what it was 5 months ago.
Right, and this sort of modernization obviously is going to reduce waiting times, not only for people who are clearing, but for ships.
Yes, for ships.
That are waiting.
Exactly.
And decongestion.
Yes,
and all
we are targeting the regional standards.
Right.
Okay, 7 days dwell time for cargo. In 7 days, your cargo is cleared. Okay, ship turnaround time for ships is improving every day. So that is what our target is.
And what's the turnaround time now?
It's maybe 5 days.
And
we
what I
can do
mean is
better.
that you said you're aiming for 7
Yes,
days.
we're aiming for 2-3 days, actually.
Right, okay.
Yeah, so that is what it is. And then it will cut cost. Okay, cost is very significant for us, and we want to see this cost being reduced. But then the issue of corruption and technology also banishes corruption.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah, it makes things easier for payment. You need only one central payment instead of going from one bank to the other or dipping your hands in your pocket and pay. That's when corruption comes.
Yeah, but even in the institutions or the government agencies where technology has been introduced, I mean, all you need to do is go to some parts of, the passport office or whatever. There's still ways of getting around.
Yeah, but you have to make an effort.
There's still ways of getting around it, and ultimately, it ends up in your pocket.
Yes, but all the same, what we're trying, it eases, so much wahala.
Yeah, no, I agree. It would. The key thing is to be reducing it consistently and steadily. So incremental improvements in the use of technology in the shipping process.
Yes.
But you're not there yet,
No,
are you?
not there yet.
Lots
but
of room
we're
for
on
improvement.
on that path.
Right.
Let me just give you, we made an assessment. Some terminals, for example, scored 24%. That was 6 months ago. Now they are scoring 64%, 74%. There is a terminal with 94%. Everything is online, the transactions. So that is, we have a target. We have, what we want the ports to be. And the cooperation we are receiving is fantastic.
Well, your words are very impressive. Let's hope they are backed up by fact and reality.
Of course.
Hassan Bello, Executive Secretary of the Nigerian Shippers Council, I want to thank you very much indeed for taking the time to talk to us.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
You're watching the Arise interview. Plenty more still ahead, including day 2 of America's high-profile trial of former policeman Derek Chauvin for the murder of George Floyd. Stay with us.